Okay, so after chapter 4 of The Giver yesterday, which I am sure caused a little snickering, there's this other slightly incendiary chapter. I'm actually going to skip a little bit because we're going to get the sense of it. And those of you who are very fast are going to notice. All right, here we go. More strangeness in the world of The Giver. And think about how you all talked about, when we talked about it on the classroom together, we all talked about how this was a book where difference was not valued, where everybody they like people to be similar. Okay, here you go. Usually at the morning ritual, when the family members told their dreams, Jonas didn't contribute much. He rarely dreamed. Sometimes he awoke with a feeling of fragments afloat in his sleep, but he couldn't seem to grasp them and put them together into something worthy of telling at the ritual. But this morning was different. He had dreamed very vividly the night before. His mind wandered while Lily, as usual, recounted a lengthy dream, this one a frightening one in which she had, against the rules, been riding her mother's bicycle and had been caught by the security guards. They'd all listened carefully and discussed with Lily the warning that the dream had given. "Thank you for your dream, Lily," Jonas said the standard phrase automatically and tried to pay better attention while his mother told of a dream fragment, a disquieting scene where she had been chastised for a rule infraction she didn't understand. Together they agreed that it probably resulted from her feelings when she had reluctantly dealt punishment to the citizen who had broken the major rules a second time. Father said that he had no dreams. "Gabe?" Father asked, looking down at the basket where the new child lay gurgling after his feeding. They ready to be taken back to the nurturing center for the day? They all laughed. Dream telling began with threes. If new children dreamed, no one knew. "Jonas?" Mother asked. They always asked, though they knew how rarely Jonas had a dream to tell. "I did dream last night," Jonas told them. He shifted in his chair, frowning. "Good," Father said. "Tell us." "The details aren't really clear," Jonas explained, trying to recreate the odd dream in his mind. "I think I was in the bathing room at the House of the Old." "That's where you were yesterday," Father pointed out. Jonas nodded, but it wasn't really the same. There was a tub in the dream, but only one, and the real bathing room has rows and rows of them. But the room in the dream was warm and damp, and I'd taken off my tunic but hadn't put on the smock, so my chest was bare. I was perspiring because it was so warm, and Fiona was there, the way she was yesterday. "Asher too?" Mother asked. Jonas shook his head. "No, it was only me and Fiona, alone in the room, standing beside the tub. She was laughing, but I wasn't. I was almost a little angry at her in the dream because she wasn't taking me seriously." "Seriously about what?" Lily asked. Jonas looked at his plate. For some reason that he didn't understand, he felt slightly embarrassed. "I think I was trying to convince her to get into the tub of water." "Thank you for your dream, Jonas," Mother said, after a moment. She glanced at Father. "Lily," Father said, "it's time to leave for school. Would you walk beside me this morning and keep an eye on the new child's basket? We want to be certain he doesn't wiggle himself loose." Jonas began to rise to collect his school books. He thought it surprising that they hadn't talked about his dream at length before the thank you. Perhaps they had found it as confusing as he had. "Wait, Jonas," Mother said gently. "I'll write an apology to your instructor so that you won't have to speak one for being late." He sank back down into his chair, puzzled. He waved to his father and Lily as they left the dwelling, carrying Gabe in his basket. He watched while Mother tidied the remains of the morning meal and placed the tray by the front door for the collection crew. Finally, she sat down beside him at the table. "Jonas," she said with a smile, "the feeling you described as the wanting, it was your first, capital S, stirrings. Father and I have been expecting it to happen to you. It happens to everyone. It happened to Father when he was your age, and it happened to me. It will happen someday to Lily. And very often," Mother added, "it begins with a dream." Stirrings. He'd heard the word before. He had remembered that there was a reference to the stirrings in the Book of Rules, though he didn't remember what it said. And now and then the speaker mentioned it. "Attention," A reminder that stirrings must be reported in order for treatment to take place. He'd always ignored that announcement because he didn't understand it, and it had never seemed to apply to him in any way. He ignored, as most citizens did, many of the commands and reminders read by the speaker. "Do I have to report it?" he asked his mother. She laughed. "You did, in the dream telling. That's enough. You remember the part where the apple gets reported? So who's doing the reporting?" "But what about the treatment? The speaker says that treatment must take place." Jonas felt miserable. Just when the ceremony was about to happen, his ceremony of 12, would he have to go away someplace for treatment just because of a stupid dream? But again, his mother laughed in a reassuring and affectionate way. "No, no," she said. "It's just the pills. You're ready for the pills, that's all. That's the treatment for stirrings." Jonas brightened. He knew about the pills. His parents both took them each morning, and some of his friends did, he knew. Once he'd been heading off to school with Asher, both of them on their bikes, when Asher's father had called from their dwelling doorway, "You forgot your pill, Asher." Asher had groaned good-naturedly, turned his bike, and ridden back while Jonas waited. It was the sort of thing one didn't ask a friend about because it might have fallen into that uncomfortable category of being different. Asher took a pill each morning. Jonas did not. Always better, less rude, to talk about things that were the same. Now he swallowed the small pill that his mother handed him. "That's all?" he asked. "That's all," she replied, returning the bottle to the cupboard. "But you mustn't forget. I'll remind you for the first weeks, but then you must do it on your own. If you forget, the stirrings will come back. The dreams of stirrings will come back. Sometimes the dosage must be adjusted." "Asher takes them," Jonas confided. His mother nodded, unsurprised. "Many of your group mates probably do, the males at least, and they all will soon, females too." "How long will I have to take them?" "Until you enter the House of the Old," she explained. "All of your adult life, but it becomes routine. After a while, you don't even pay much attention to it." She looked at her watch. "If you leave right now, you won't even be late for school. Hurry along." "And thank you again, Jonas," she added as he went to the door, "for your dream." Pedaling rapidly down the path, Jonas felt oddly proud to have joined those who took the pills. For a moment, though, he remembered the dream again. The dream had felt pleasurable. Though the feelings were confused, he thought that he had liked the feelings that his mother had called stirrings. He remembered that upon waking, he'd wanted to feel the stirrings again. Then, in the same way that his own dwelling slipped away behind him as he rounded a corner on his bicycle, the dream slipped away from his thoughts. Very briefly, a little guiltily, he tried to grasp it back. But the feelings had disappeared. The stirrings were gone. So 2 questions which I'm going to reiterate in the form that I'm going to give you today. I guess the big one would be the stirrings are obviously like what we would call puberty, right? Why would this community want to stop puberty in terms of the sort of the feelings of like wanting to have a connection with another person who isn't like a parent or a member of your family? And the other thing, can I find it, was the bit right at the beginning. Am I going to be able to find it? It's the bit with Asher, where, oh yes, it was here, wasn't it? This bit here, where he talks about, this seems very important to me. It might have fallen into that uncomfortable category of being different. Asher took a pill each morning. So that thing there about being different, that feels very important. Okay, so that, why, the question there is, why are they so interested? Why is that such a big deal, the uncomfortable category of being different? And I guess, how does it connect to this thing with stirrings as well? Okay, that's it. We'll talk about it in our Zoom, I guess, in our meet on Monday.